Hey, I'm Kenneth Wajda. I'm a professional photographer here in Colorado. Welcome to another one of my weekly Leica talks, all things Leica. So today I want to talk about another Leica alternative. I've actually had a few people ask me, what else can I use if I want to try Leica but I can't afford Leica? So this is a Nikon S4. The story goes that David Douglas Duncan was a war photographer in 1958, and he said, I like your S3, but it's got a self-timer. It's in my way. I wish you'd make a simpler version without that. And so they came out with the S4, and then right after that they came out with the Nikon F, which is this exact camera, this rangefinder camera, except they built a prism on it and they got rid of the viewfinder. And if you look at the controls of a Nikon F and that, you'll see they look almost alike. And that is, the camera was made in 1959, and then they went to the SLR, and the SLR completely took off. And this is based on an old Contax design, and this I got from a local estate sale, and I was just interested in trying it for the Nikon lens. And you know, as much as you can say, oh, I want to get a Leica with a 50-1.4, that sounds like a good idea. But you're going to have to spend $2,000 on an M6, and you're going to have to spend another $3,000 or $4,000 on a 51.4. And this whole setup was $375. And for $375, you've got a rangefinder with a 51.4. I can see the whole viewfinder in the range in the window with glasses, which makes it definitely one that I'm drawn to because I need to be able to see the whole frame. And it's based on the old Contax design, so it's got focus here. So ideally, you could focus with this finger and shoot with this finger, and it's very quick. Different ones have, you know, based on how old they are in their condition, their silver mirror or beam splitter will be brighter or dimmer. This one has a little bit of a dim silver beam splitter, which could be cleaned, but I probably will never do it. I've been using it. It works fine. But the 51.4 is somewhat legendary. There were photographers back in the 50s saying, you know what, you got to try out these Nikon lenses. I'm putting them on my Leica, and they're better than the Leica lenses. And they were touting, I think Robert Capa was one who put a 51.4 with a Leica mount, and they put it on their Leica camera, and they used Nikon glass on it. And this has removable lenses, so you can change lenses, if I can see where to do that. But it's a special Nikon mount for this camera S series only, and you cannot use it on the SLRs, and it doesn't work on a Leica. They also made Nikon lenses with that Leica thread mount, or I guess the Leica thread mount, then you would have to adapt it to put it on an M camera. But the Nikon lens, the fact that you get a 51.4 on a S body rangefinder, you're not quite getting a Leica, but you're not paying $8,000, $7,000 for the setup. And I just shot pictures with this past week, and I'll put some of them in the show notes because it was a treat to see the quality of the lens and see the sharpness. And it was, for all the different rangefinders I've tried, this one has the best viewfinder that I can see the whole frame when I look. Is it right to the edges? Yes. Would it be better without glasses? Yes, even better. But with glasses, it's right edge to edge. I see what I'm going to get. And I can't quite get that with an M3. The viewfinder is so big, I need to use a diopter and then take these off and then look in. But with this, I can actually see. And the fact that this was so inexpensive, this becomes, again, I was walking down the Pearl Street Mall down in Boulder, put this little lens cap on it to keep the dust from my pocket off the lens, and I just put it in my front coat pocket. It just hung out in my front coat pocket. I had another camera with me, a digital, for shooting some street, but when I wanted to shoot my friends with film, yeah, just bought the old film camera. Easy, inexpensive, almost probably, I would say, one of the best bargains in how you can get into 51.4 without spending the kind of money that Leica requires. And yet the Leica is completely good and worthwhile, but if you want to get into it and try it, you want to get out and started. They had the S3, they had the S4. They came out with an S3 commemorative version in like 2000, so they made some new ones just about 20 years ago. And this isn't from then. This is from 1959. Came with a little half leather case, inexpensive. Highly recommend. This is the Nikon S4. They didn't export many of those. Most of them stayed in Japan, and they brought the S3 over here. But the S4 you can still sometimes find, and it's definitely, for me, it's one I'd recommend. It's inexpensive, Leica-like experience. And since we're talking about Leica, sometimes I talk about things that are Leica. All right, that's today's photography talk. If you're enjoying these, hit the subscribe button. If you can support, hit the Patreon, and I'll be back next time. We'll talk, in a couple of weeks, we'll talk more Leica. All right, as always, here's to good light.